Et donc, merci pour ce conseil. Alors voici, pour cette deuxième journée, nous allons d'abord entendre le ministre des Affaires étrangères qui va nous parler de la situation diplomatique de notre pays. Ensuite, il y aura une discussion sur ce sujet, suivie par la suite d'une présentation ou un exposé sur la gouvernance et l'éducation, et qui sera suivi d'une discussion, d'échanges. Après quoi, nous vous donnerons la parole, Monsieur le Président. Alors, ministre, Monsieur Olivier Nduhungirehe, ministre des Affaires étrangères et de la coopération, vous avez la parole. Monsieur le Président, leader de notre pays, invités, mesdames, messieurs, bonjour. Alors, mon sujet, c'est la situation diplomatique de notre pays. Bien, la réponse courte, c'est le pays est bien positionné dans la communauté internationale. Nous participons à des actions conjointes. Nous sommes on dit de nous que nous sommes un partenaire fiable et responsable et fidèle. Voilà. Donc, et c'est d'ailleurs de cela que nous avons parlé hier. On a souligné ce point. Alors, ma responsabilité, c'est la coopération internationale. C'est la promotion du développement économique. Et en troisième lieu, c'est la sécurité. Nous coopérons avec les instances de sécurité au Rwanda comme à l'étranger. Concernant la coopération, nous avons élargi nos horizons. Vous vous souvenez de la première
technicians, and therefore Rwandans in the diaspora have a big role to play in economic development of Rwanda. And as far as security is concerned, you are well aware that Rwanda collaborates with the United Nations when it comes to peacekeeping missions. We're probably the second troop contributing country, with about 6,000 men and women in uniform that operate in Central Africa and in other countries. And the aim is actually to help citizens of those countries. It's not about just sending a contingent in those countries. And we remember that there was a peacekeeping mission that was in Rwanda prior to the genocide against the Tutsi, but it did not prevent the genocide. So in the Central African Republic, for instance, we do try and help them resolve their security issues. And peacekeeping mission is not enough in itself. It is important to deal with the root causes of the problems, such as the lack of justice, the unequal access to resources, to opportunities, inequalities and other exclusions are part and parcel of security issues. And the president has already explained this time and time again. He did allude to the issue with the DRC, and the media, unfortunately, engage into manipulation. People ignore some of the issues, real issues, and then they distort the truth. And the president did explain the source and the root causes of this problem, and which have nothing to do with Rwanda. And back then, regional institutions did work tirelessly to try and find a solution. We had the Nairobi talks to try and help Congolese speak with each other and find a solution to their problems, given that one part of the population was denied basic rights. But unfortunately, the President of the Republic of the DRC put an end to those talks, did send away the joint regional force that had been deployed, went after the M23, and yet the M23 had actually ceded more than 82% of the land they had conquered. And the DRC president decided to actually go after this force, and that is the joint EAC force, and decided to actually bring in the SADC forces. And all this was done without consultation with his peers in the East African community. And it was clearly explained that more than 13 Interahamwe groups prevailed in the eastern DRC. Some of them were repatriated. Some have actually been integrated into society. But again, coming back to the DRC, the President of the Republic of the DRC refused to speak with the M23. And, he said, well, there's this summit that was actually supposed to be held in 2025, but that's not true. There was nothing to be signed because the DRC had actually withdrawn and had rather rejected what it had previously accepted. Therefore, we organized a meeting in Dar es Salaam with SADC, with the East African community, the meeting aiming at resolving the issue, but the DRC president did not take part in the meeting. And then later on, he went to Qatar and to Washington, D.C., outside of Africa, to invite those countries to get involved in those discussions and talks. And people say, well, it is Rwanda that actually wanted for these talks to actually be held outside of Africa. This is not true. It is President Tshisekedi that decided to actually go to these countries outside of Africa, and agreements have been signed. But a signature on a paper is not what counts. What is important is political will. And that is what is lacking. When our president went to sign an agreement in Washington, some things happened afterwards. The city of Uvira was taken over by the M23. But as was said by the president of Rwanda, people do not speak the truth. When the agreement was signed on the 24th in Washington, D.C., we were invited by Mr. Trump at the White House. And these to find a way to actually implement the agreement. And there were religious leaders who were there. We even had a prayer. Paula White was there. We held each other's hands, we closed our eyes, and we prayed for the region. And my colleague, Teresa, was there, and we, held each other's hands, and everything was well. But then afterwards, there were drone attacks and attacks by jet fighters that attacked the M23 in violation of the agreement. And there were mercenaries that actually were part of the conflict. You've seen the Romans, and they were replaced afterwards by Colombians. And their twin brothers from Burundi got involved as well and continued persecuting the Banyamulenge, who are not allowed to go and shop from the markets. And yes, peace agreements have been signed, but the implementation must be done by both sides, by all parties. And it was clear who indeed violated the agreement. This was evident. And I'd like to add that for us in Rwanda, we do support the agreement. We are in support of the agreement. We should be able to resolve the security issues pertaining to the FDLR. It actually establishes a regional economic collaboration framework between Rwanda and the DRC, as well as other political issues. There were there was also the Doha Agreement between the DRC and the M23, and our hope is that this initiative will make progress. Now, this year, Africa must play its role. And our hope is that President Faure Nyasimbe and the members of the panel of the Peace Initiative of the African Union will indeed succeed in their endeavor. And to conclude, as I mentioned, Rwanda is well positioned diplomacy-wise, and although there has been some challenges here and there, this should not and does not prevent us from moving forward with our diplomatic efforts. That's one. Two, Rwanda is peaceful. Rwanda is well protected. And you can sleep peacefully in that regard. We have several plans that are aimed at protecting the country so that we may indeed continue with our development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for that presentation. And before we move forward, is anybody wants to make a comment or to ask a question? Please go ahead. Anybody? Go ahead, please. Please give them a microphone.
Honorable Minister, my name is Charity Manyeruke, Ambassador of Zimbabwe to Rwanda. I really want to appreciate greatly your presentation, which is very insightful, acknowledging all the peace efforts related to the DRC conflict. And we do wonder, really, where does the solution really lie? Where will it come from? We notice that lives have been lost and continue to be lost. Development continues to be stalled, and people continue to be displaced. And we really acknowledge all the peace efforts, the African Union efforts, the Doha, the Washington. People have been on it. Our leaders have been on it for many decades, I should say. And the protection of citizens of countries is at stake, and very, very important. Asking Honorable Minister that where does the solution really lie? What should be done for peace to prevail? Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll take another question. But for those who didn't understand her question, this is the Zimbabwe's ambassador to Rwanda, who appreciates Rwanda's effort in finding a solution to the conflict in the region but she wants to know where the solution does lie. So Foreign Affairs Minister will take on the question. If there is any other hand, we'll take one more, maybe two. Go ahead, please. There's a hand at this side of the room. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone, Your Excellency, attendees, and listeners at large. My name is Shan Muvunyi. Ikibazo mfite ngiye kukibaza mu Cyongereza.
I will ask my question in English.
I'm an entrepreneur of 6 years. I own a business called Glow Force. We manufacture hair care and skincare products. As an entrepreneur, I frequent a few institutions, namely Rwanda FDA, Majirwa, and occasionally REMA as well. When I frequent these institutions, there is an issue I face across all of them, which is that when I'm going to apply for a license or certain certification, they will give me a list of requirements. I take the week or 2 weeks to fulfill these requirements. I go back, and then they give me another list of requirements. This wastes a lot of time. Mind you, these things I'm applying for have been applied for by other people, so the list of requirements is known. My issue is, why aren't I given an exhaustive list to save both time and to be more efficient? I have asked, whilst I'm on the ground, to several workers of these institutions, why do you do this? I am told, oh, we did not really understand what you do, but now that we understand, you need these extra things. Why not ask me an exhaustive list of questions so that you're able to understand my business before you give me a list of things that I need to bring? I would like to end on a positive note. Through my 6 years of entrepreneurship, Rwanda Standards Board has been an amazing institution to work with. They have been very knowledgeable and willing to help, and they also have a really good program known as Zamukira Ubuziranenge, which I am a part of, and I encourage every other young entrepreneur to be a part of. They have very valuable trainings there. I hope to get some help on my issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just wait a second. Before we even take more questions, somebody should answer those questions first. That question, the Minister of Commerce, RDB, whoever, please answer the question, even though it's not related to today's theme, what was being discussed earlier, but let this question be answered first. Thank you, Your Excellency, the President.
Was raised is the very reason why we created the one-stop center. So to remove the friction points and situations where investors have to go in multiple different places to...
Yeah, but here the question is, the issue is the one-stop center is not working. That's what should be answered. I thought, yeah, let's go to the point. Why that situation, if true, is happening. Yeah, straight to the point. Between you and the Minicom, we are here, so you should both answer that, and quickly we get something else.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I would just invite her to come to the one-stop center, because all the services that she's referred to are provided in the one-stop center. So that she doesn't have to go to the different places, we would invite her to come to the one-stop center, Your Excellency.
That may require that you educate everybody as to what to do, because maybe she doesn't know what to do. Why? Some people should be having that responsibility to explain. You can't keep inviting or explaining to one person and then another person and then separately. So why doesn't she know where to go? We create a one-stop center, it doesn't work, nobody knows where it is, so who addresses that problem?
We must.
Okay, Prime Minister, this matter should be resolved quickly and we are done with. Throughout the system, we can't keep handling one particular case. Yeah.
Murakoze.
Thank you, Your Excellency. You're right, and we understand our task, and we're going to solve it. We had actually started working on it. We had requested Minicom to bring all those agencies together, regulation, REMA, FDA, so we may have one single framework with regards to regulation standards and all these requirements and the whole process. Like she says, we intend to have one single list with all requirements. With one-stop center, Excellency, it's true we have the center, but what our colleague says is that each regulatory body tends to have their own requirements. So we have requested that this change, and we promise this is going to be solved very quickly. But here is the issue, Mr. Prime Minister, though you're not explaining it clearly. How many years have we discussed these things here? You say we set up this, but 10 years earlier, 15, 20, what was there? This is not the time to begin doing something. One-stop center exists, and why was it set up? This should be working. So are you only beginning? Are you just beginning? That's not right. So we'll leave it here for now, but those responsible should take note. This should be solved as soon as possible. We can't keep repeating the same thing year after year, and we're starting anew. So what was there before all this with this one-stop center? Thank you, Mr. President. And for those Rwandans listening at the sites, the question that was asked was about the list of requirements that entrepreneurs are expected to meet. And then there's a set of requirements in one agency, goes to another. They're asked to bring more, to meet more requirements. So our DB representative says there's one-stop center where you can go and get the service without having to go to different agencies. The answers were in Kinyarwanda, and I think you got everything. But now, let's come back to what we were discussing, the one-stop center and other things. Let's come back to Minister Olivier's presentation. Anyone else with a question or a comment? There was a hand, actually, somebody standing up. I hope it's related to what Minister Olivier Nduhungirehe has presented.
I'm a lawyer. I wanted to share an experience. On the 27th of December last year, the spokesperson of the Congolese army went on national television. He said he encouraged Congolese people not to marry Tutsi women. He went on to say that if you marry a Tutsi woman, this woman will be a spy. They will spy upon you and will not. He went on to even speak about every other stigma that I'm not at liberty to repeat here. This is a violation of international law. It is hate speech, and it is also incitement to genocide. Now, in international law, the Tutsi, just like any other ethnic group, are a protected group. Now, here we are. This person has not been taken to justice. This is a crime against humanity, what he did, and he did it on on national television in his capacity as spokesperson of the Congolese army. Previously, a genocide denier called Charles Onana was being prosecuted in France. The spokesperson of the Congolese government went on television and said, it is the DRC that is on trial. This person lost, he was sentenced to fines, and his books were removed from shelves because they were deemed to deny the genocide against the Tutsi. At every given time, Rwanda is in trial, sued by the Democratic Republic of Congo. I'm speaking under the technical control of our Attorney General, but we always have a case going on at the African Commission, at the African Union, at the International Court of Justice, at the ICC. The reason Rwandans are not aware of this is because the DRC loses consistently. However, Rwanda never sues. For example, Association of Genocide Survivors have not sued this person who was stigmatizing the Tutsi. Rwanda as a government, last year in December, in 2014 and 24, during the elections in the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Congolese president declared his intentions to attack and bomb Kigali. We did not sue. We laugh about these things. We say, because perhaps it comes from our culture of self-reliance, that we never utilize international instruments to express our injury at the fact that we are being attacked. The problem with this is that everybody remembers allegations, nobody remembers rebuttals. We are always on a reactive position, going to court and winning, and these matters remain silent. So my recommendation is that we need to, even though we might not have so much faith in international instruments, but we need to be more proactive. For example, I was looking at the African Union declaration that Rwanda-supported groups have attacked an airport. But Burundi and the DRC use civilian installations to launch attacks on M23 position and to threaten Rwandan security. This is another violation of international law that we have not adequately exploited. So my recommendation is that we have to have a more proactive approach to go to optimize international instruments to make our rights respected. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gatete. For those who don't understand English, he reiterated what Congolese Army spokesman said. His statement on Congolese national television, he was inciting for genocide, and that's a crime. He says the DRC always sues Rwanda for this and that, but Rwandans are not aware of this. DRC consistently loses this case, but Mr. Gatete says, why doesn't Rwanda sue? Tell us, Minister of Justice, can we sue the DRC for all these things? Thank you so much, Mr. President. Well, he's asked the question in English and going to answer in English.
Minister of Justice,
But Minister of Justice, you don't need to explain anything. We got it. So let's continue with the program. Otherwise, we won't move forward. Now we're going to keep going, and we will address that case later on. But the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs, let's suspend here for this Q&A, because there's going to be a panel and we'll have more time for another Q&A. Mr. President, if you allow, we can take a 15-minute break. When we come back, we will continue with the panel. Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic, well, yesterday we discussed our country's economy and its major pillars, and those pillars are only strengthened by the citizens. So how is the citizens faring on the job market today? How are we preparing them to be competitive on the international scene? That's how we're going to discuss education and civic engagement. So over to you, Jean-Maurice, moderator. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, honorable leaders and all Rwandans. And as Sandrine says, I'm Uwera Jean-Maurice. Your Excellency, I'm the one you recently appointed to be deputy spokesperson on the government. And I thank you for that appointment. Thank you. So, as the MC said, we're going to tackle 3 points, and those are the foundation if we want to have a Rwandan citizens that we want. So we're going to focus on good governance, and we will also discuss education and the journey we've traveled so far. We're also going to discuss employment, especially how college graduates enter the job market. We'll also talk about the role of journalism and arts. So I'm going to introduce my panelists. We have RGB Director General. Good morning, Doris. Minister Joseph Nsengimana, Minister of Education. Oh, also it's time. Our colleague, and this is a young person called Aline Shimwe, an entrepreneur. Hello, Aline. We also have a journalist, Scovia Mamarwagasabo. Hello. Hello, the new government spokesperson and former journalist. Thank you very much. All right, so employment. And within employment, we also have the arts. Hello, Bruce. Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Like we said, good governance. It's true, we can talk about that now. But what is the picture of good governance? You see, when we talk good governance, good service, it's all encapsulated in RGB. With the last 32 years, Mr. President, we used to have what we called Burgermeister, which is today's mayor. But when a citizen was summoned by the Burgermeister, you know, this is an official who had a cachet, which is a stamp, and a cachot, which is a jail cell, and the cash. So you would go to the commune with your blanket because you were not sure to go back home back in the day. So how is the picture of governance today, Ms. Picard? Well, governance has totally changed compared to those years of cachot, cachet, cash. So governance in Rwanda has changed. We decided to base our governance not on those theoretical ideas, but this is rooted in the citizens' everyday life. So it means the institutions function, the citizens has access to the services, their voice is heard, they are respected and protected. And like you said, you've given that history. So it's a bad history with the example of that Burgomaster. So for many years before the genocide against Tutsis, there was bad governance. And institutions were giving services in a discriminated way. So we opted to build a country that ensures that all citizens have access to equal services, they have equal rights. So there was a choice that we made. And Rwanda Governance Board comes in here, and we conduct research annually about governance and services provision. So the research was our choice as Rwandans, and it gives us a picture that shows that we've achieved a lot over the last 31 years. Our governance is much better. There's a trust between citizens and the government. And we also see that there are things, areas where we need to improve, especially with the services area. Citizens can now go to school. Almost all of them go to school. They get knowledge. They use technology. So the way we provide services have to change. The citizens would keep saying, well, it's true we have access to the services, but are they timely? Are they at the level where we need them? Are they technology friendly? User friendly as well? So with education, for instance, a parent could send their child to school, and that was proof that they had good services, the right services, necessary services. It's the same today, but in addition to that, they want to know if the skills they get in the classroom prepares them to the job market with the emerging sectors, so they have a better future. I say that we have institutions that function properly, and the development we've achieved is not just because of government institutions. It's thanks to partnership and collaboration between government and the citizens. Between 2008 and 2011, Rwanda succeeded in removing 1 million people out of poverty. That was a miracle, according to all standards. So we, the citizens, play a major role in making this happen, because citizens adopted and owned the government programs, especially Girinka program, 1 cow per family, or shelter for the needy, the vulnerable people. And right after COVID-19 pandemic, we saw that even though the citizens participate in government programs and initiatives, you see how they participate in Muganda Community Works and citizens' assemblies. Those 2 areas, participation has decreased. So I want to urge the youth to participate more in government programs and let your voice be heard, because in that case, you get more ownership of those programs, and also you contribute with your own ideas, and so you're no longer a beneficiary, you're a partner in those programs. So we're all partners in this 2050 program or project, so to speak, so we can move Rwanda forward and quickly. Thank you very much. It's a very clear vision, and it's a good picture of governance. You've also said that a parent takes their child to school not only to get skills, but also to know that they are ready for the job market. So let's bring in the Minister of Education, Minister Nsengimana. Now, we've been talking about a good service in the education sector. So what is the picture of education 22 years down the road? Thank you, Maurice, for that question. And so let's talk about the state of our education sector over the last 30 years. I will be brief. It's not easy to paint that picture in 3 minutes. So if you look at the education sector right after the genocide against Tutsis, it was in shambles. the government had to build everything from scratch. Most schools had been killed, and most teachers, most schools had been destroyed, and most teachers killed, and others had fled the country. So that's the situation right after the genocide. And the education policy that existed right after the genocide, it was an education system that discriminated against some of the citizens. But what we've done over the last 32 years, we made sure that all Rwandans have access to education, and we've achieved that. I will give you 3 examples to prove that. Before 1994, the nursery schools were very few, but today we have more than 680,000 kids in those early childhood centers. So you see, young Rwandans are prepared before they even enroll in elementary school. This prepares them to be successful in their studies. In high school, for instance, in 1994, there were 37,000 Rwandans in high schools, but today we have 788,000 students in high school. So it's been multiplied by 20. This proves that education is open now to everyone, to every Rwandan. Last example that I want to give here with university. In 1994, until 1994, those who had attended university in Rwanda, there were only 2,000. Only last year, the University of Rwanda saw more than 9,000 students graduating. So you see how much Rwandans have really been attending schools. But we're not there yet. For us to reach the goal we need to collaborate, parents and schools. So we urge parents to watch their children closely, to take care of them, to prepare them from a very young age. Because if you bring a child who's not prepared with the basics, bring them to school, then we can't really do much. But if we start getting involved from a very young age, and when you bring them to school, you come with them and you meet the teacher, the headmaster, you know the school, you know how they teach. So that's helpful. So, and if you don't get the right service that you deserve, then go and raise that point. It's your right. And this will help us elevate the quality of the education that we give. You've also mentioned how we prepare those students for the job market. You know that government's policy has strengthened these TVET schools, professional schools. This ensures that once you graduate, you're ready for the job market. And we've invested a lot in these programs because we want to make sure that those who graduate will satisfy the market's needs, the job market's needs, so that those graduates will be able to develop themselves and develop their country. So let's partner, let's collaborate so we can improve the quality of our education. There are challenges, of course. I can't say that everything is perfect, but we're still trying to do more to improve the quality of education. And because of that policy, so that attracts all students to schools, so one of the results is that schools are overcrowded, and we're doing a lot to reduce that overcrowding. So we've built 27,500 classrooms between 2027 and 2024. That's a good example You see, building those classrooms, but it's not enough. And as we get more capacity, more means, we will continue reduce this overcrowding. Another thing I want to say here is that we have old classrooms and they need to be renovated. And I'm talking about the public schools and schools owned by religious denominations. So together with those churches, we're going to renovate those classrooms so our students don't have any problem stemming from the state or the of those classrooms. And we're also training the teachers. I spoke about English yesterday, but we're also working on other subjects as well, because we want our teachers to be well equipped to train our students. So we're investing a lot on those fronts. And the President of the Republic said it yesterday. We need to answer we need to be responsible. So we have responsibilities and we should be ready to meet our responsibilities, our goals of teaching, managing the schools, or even at the ministry level. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe that accountability is indeed important. And if universities are actually producing about 9,000 graduates, this is good. But the problem is, what are you going to do with all these people? You have a lot of people who graduated last year, but they're still unemployed. Aline, you've been unemployed before. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm very happy to attest to the fact that you do take care of the well-being of the youth, of women, of entrepreneurs. I am a married woman with one child, and I have a hotel called Karisimbi Resort in Musanze. And to share my journey, I was born in Gicumbi. Well, yes. Indeed, yesterday it was said that children were stunted. I'm definitely not a reflection of that. So I studied computer science at the Kigali Institute for Science and Technology. And I decided not to stay home and do nothing. I went to the Musanze city, and I thought about what was attractive in Musambi, and that was tourism. So I went around hotels, and one of the hotels recruited me as a receptionist. And I was very happy, and they were happy. You know, I was very happy, I was promoted. I became deputy director of the hotel, and thanks to Imbuto Foundation, I went on to study hotel management. When I finished my studies, it was a good thing, but I was faced with a challenge because customers were complaining about services, and I realized that some of the staff were not actually trained. You know, they were trying their best in practice, but they did not really learn much about tourism. So I decided to train them internally. And then, you know, through various discussions, you know, and I should mention that there were quite a number of girls in the staff, and they were very happy because they could see that another woman, myself, was appreciating their work. And my, question was, how should I, contribute? So I decided to started. I started drawing plans, and I wanted to have a restaurant. And some people, some partners, told me, "Why don't you actually focus on building an Airbnb?" And I said, "No, it's not only about money. I'd like to build something that I can leave to my children, something sustainable." So I found a hotel that had been closed. I visited the hotel. I found it to be okay, and then I found some money to rent the building, and that is how I actually decided to set up this Karisimbi cave resort. And this is a tourist hotel. We have a garden, there are caves, we grow vegetables, through organic farming. And it's still very small, but we are very ambitious. So I'd like to thank Alice. UBN got in touch with me and told me that they wanted to improve on my business, and they trained me so that I could actually work more efficiently, more professionally, and they put me in touch with other entrepreneurs who had more experience. So to conclude, Mr. President, I believe that all these programs are really good, but particularly the one that aims at exchanging with German entrepreneurs, and particularly in the tourism industry, to understand what tourists expect from, such an establishment. And I actually went to Germany. So this agenda is there, and, we need to work hard on this. Number two, and we hopefully get some money out of it, but we need to be careful. And we have to be respectful, and we need to save as well. Do not engage into, excessive alcohol consumption, excessive spending. You need to be disciplined as an entrepreneur. We need to remain sober as entrepreneurs. One more thing, if you're a young man, a young woman, you need to be proactive. You need to prepare yourself. You shouldn't always expect and wait for somebody to come to you and offer you something. Furthermore, I'm currently doing well, but I'd like to improve myself because I'm still renting. And I'd like to actually build my own establishment, a tourist hotel, that would help me go to the RDB and, get 1 star, 2 stars, who knows. And coming back to the hotel that I rented, I actually started by renovating it, but I could not tell the owner that I wanted to rent it for 25 years. But I did present my plan. He accepted, and one day he visited the place, and he was actually very happy about what I did with it. He realized that my hotel was very clean. But this is a message to the Gen Zs, you know, which I'm part of. We can do a lot. Thank you, Aline. Thank you very much for your testimony. And this is a very good experience that you've shared that is addressed to the youth. And she's not very wealthy, but she started, you know, very poor, and she managed to get to something significant. Let me turn to the journalists. You do inform people, there's science and technology, and there's what we call citizen journalism. You know, journalist entrepreneurs, and as a director of the Rwanda Network Commission, how do you differentiate between a professional journalist and an unprofessional journalist? Well, you shouldn't actually make a difference between the people, but rather between the work that they produce. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mutesi Skovia. I'm called Mama Rwagasabo. I am the mother of Rwagasabo. So I chose that name, and it's not to say that I am lucky, but I actually thought I was going to ask him questions, ask our moderator questions. But I'm sure I'll do that, and I'll try to respond to his question. In journalism, we shouldn't actually target people. We just need to look at what they do, because this is a difficult job, this is a difficult career. We need to love our profession, know how to go about it. And this requires a lot of time, a lot of work. We need to continue informing ourselves, because it is true that we communicate the news, but we do not create the news. If you don't say anything, there's nothing we actually say. And sometimes we'll throw a stone in the bushes to see if there's anything coming out of it. But we depend on you. Now, women in television, and I'm one of those. I employ staff, and again, working as a journalist is not easy. And our first responsibility, and I'll give you an example, you may have the weatherman that will actually, or rather the ministry in charge of the environment that will announce that there will be big rains. You know, we'll announce it. Number two, we educate. Whether it's in Gicumbi, Nyabihu, Muhanga, and other areas where children suffer from malnutrition, we'll have some leaders that will actually speak about the problem, but then we'll actually explain to the people what malnutrition means. You know, the quality foods that they should feed children. And we explain that if they do not feed their children quality food, that their children may actually stop going to school. We get in touch with Minister Sabin, and the Minister of Health, engage with him. And then a third role that we play is leisure. Bruce Melody has gone to Shirongi, and if he climbs the Shirongi Mount, the question is, how is he actually going to come down? The other day, we had military staff that were engaged in a competition, and I believe the chief of police won. But in any case, they continue serving the nation despite the competition. So, those are some of the things that we engage in. Mr. President, I should say that, citizens are my clients. Do people actually visit my website? You should visit my website. Furthermore, I think we should act with wisdom, and I should make a difference between journalistic production and rumors. If there's an accident, the road has been blocked to help ambulances attend to the injured. We wait for the news, for information about, the number of those who have been injured, and I'll take pictures, but definitely not pictures of the faces of the people that got injured or of casualties. And, there's other pieces of information, such as, the brakes that did not work and that led to the accident, or, other relevant information. That's what we communicate. As for social media, we have no choice but to live with them. But at the same time, you'll have some social media that will actually take pictures of people with their faces clearly visible, and that's not professional at all. So that's the difference between the social media and professional journalists. Well, regarding YouTube and other social media, well, it's okay to use them. I actually make money through those. And the problem is not YouTube, but the problem is YouTubers that always try to shock people and interview people that suffer from mental illnesses. And that is an issue. Some people, for instance, enjoy showing shocking images of football supporters fighting each other. This is not proper. And sometimes we actually get in touch with the Rwanda Investigation Bureau when there are violations. Because you have people insulting others who have no respect. And these are very bad habits. And these behaviors are propagated, and then people start saying that this is the media. No. I think journalists have to do their work, and but we need support. Mr. President, I once wrote a comment on X and said that punishing those who violate the law is right. And I remember something, in my household, I was discussing with my kids, and I just told them, hey, if I do this, Dad will kill me. And the children were actually shocked, and I said, no, okay, I probably misspoke. He's not going to kill me. It was just an expression. So that's why we have to be careful with the words we utter. One of the speakers talked about the Nzove road, and when there's issues pertaining to infrastructure, we get in touch with leaders, we ask questions, and then we communicate to the public. And, you know, we have to sensitize the population about not misusing electric poles. And yesterday, I believe something was mentioned about cooperatives. And it is true that there are projects, cooperatives, that are being mismanaged, and this is very serious. And we need to communicate about that. Thank you, Mr. President. I was speaking about the role of journalists and the roles that we must play. And as I said, we need to make sure that citizens are in touch with their leaders. And I was giving an example of the road leading to Skol that is problematic, and other roads that are in a very bad state. And I was talking about embezzlement of funds by leaders. And our intention is to make sure that citizens and leaders can actually speak to each other. For instance, in Nyagatare, we heard that there were about 700 liters of milk that had been taken by the director of the project. But I think it's important to educate the population about government programs, about projects. And Mr. President, to conclude, I'd like to say that the work that we do as journalists, as part of the media, we are faced with challenges. And there are journalists that you do not see or hear anymore. And some of them are actually seated here. Even Maurice, who was actually in the media, because he couldn't actually, you know, we do not survive per se when it comes to getting money out of this profession. And of course, there are major achievements that we have made as the media. Some improvements have been made. I remember, Mr. President, you mentioning the youth, that the youth should actually sit at the high table. And you actually said it in French. And I'd like to thank you, Mr. President, because your guidance, your advice gives me courage to actually fight forward. And this is why I actually decided to sit on the table, on the high table. But most of us do not manage to actually leave off our profession. And I hope the youth will listen to us, because there are lots of journalists who are here present and that should actually convey whatever they learn from here. Internet is expensive. And, you know, we have to buy cameras, we have to buy equipment. But the government, I hope, can actually provide us with some level of support, because we actually work with the government. But it is really difficult to basically leave off our profession. However, I remain hopeful, and I hope there will be a solution. And I'll stop here. I've said a lot of things. Obviously, there's still a lot to talk about, but we'll continue working with everyone to make sure our country can move forward, continue moving forward. You know, I sometimes hear that Al Jazeera said that this happened at the border of this or that country. Why can't I actually go myself to the border and find out what is happening? Thank you very much, Madam Scovia Mutesi, Mama Rwagasabo. For correction, the universities do not produce 90,000 students or graduates per year, but rather 9,000. This was clearly indicated by the Minister for Education. And he gave the example of the number of graduates last year alone, whereby the University of Rwanda saw the graduation of 9,000 students. Thank you very much, Madam Scovia Mutesi. You've given us an overview of the media in Rwanda. And the youth will find opportunities in various sectors, including the leisure sector or the arts. And Bruce Melody has actually been very successful in this journey. Now, Bruce Melody, is this a good thing to engage in? Well, as you can tell, I'm actually looking like somebody who's well off. I think we can make money out of you know, being an artist, and I will probably focus on the music, because music is my area. And obviously, we've been moving slow because we are literally the first ones to build the sector. And I'll give you an example. I was born in a very religious family, ADPR, Musanza. And when I actually told my family that I wanted to become an artist, they first decided to pray for me. They spoke in tongues, but I persevered. And one of my neighbors was Ugandan, and he told me, look, if you want to become an artist, you should look like one and maybe grow dreadlocks. And I told my mom, she told me that was actually the work of evil spirits that was in action. But, you know, with time, we actually proved that we were indeed producing some quality work. We were helping grow the industry, and today we clearly contribute to the industry in terms of creation, in terms of GDP, to the level of 5% of the GDP. But we're not satisfied because there's still a long way to go. We haven't achieved the objectives that we set for ourselves. We would like to get to, a 20 to 30% GDP contribution. And given that I have the opportunity to say a little bit about the industry, let me explain something. The gorillas, or rather, music is intercultural. And music does not require visas. It's an industry that when invested in tourism could actually grow the sector as well. So we'd like our sector to be supported as well. And we'll continue, producing art, content for our supporters. In my music, I like to actually show images of the city of Kigali, of my country, and I have a song titled Caterpillar, and the images of the video of the song were actually taken from the city of Kigali. In another song, we took images from Karongi. And this is a way of actually showcasing our country. Now, Diamond and myself produced a video, and the opening image is actually the Sonatubes roundabout, meaning that we actually try to promote our country. And I can tell you, this is work that we do, which pays well, but which costs a lot. Sometimes we spend 100, 150 million Rwandan francs, and we invest those funds hoping to get a return on our investment. And obviously, we help create jobs as well, and we always hope to get infrastructure made available to us. And for instance, we'd like to organize concerts with about 60 people at the Amahoro Stadium. But this requires a lot. And I work towards that goal, as well as the band and other artists. On the other hand, some colleagues of mine and myself would like to actually produce music for export. And today we have a music school, and personally I was not able to get access to a formal education. And I work with people who actually did study music, meaning that we have professionals in the industry, and this is why we actually have to work hand in hand with the tourism sector. And we'd like our music to go beyond the borders of Rwanda. And I'd like you to support our industry. And this is a call I make to investors so that they can also invest in us. This is what I'd like to say. And let me conclude by thanking you, Mr. President, for your support. And I've traveled around. I've had the chance of collaborating with Shaggy. And I actually wanted to get a Rwandan flag, but I didn't know where to get it from. However, I actually understood that it was possible to get it through Irembo. And when I was interviewed, I was asked where I come from. And I explained that I was coming from Rwanda, that my name was Bruce Melody. And people didn't actually know where Rwanda was, or, which country I was talking about. But when I actually spoke your name, Paul Kagame, people actually understood where I came from. And obviously, I'm very proud of my country, and this gives me a lot of joy.
Thank you so much, Bruce Melody. That's quite an interesting journey. So we've been talking about education. Our education system produced an entrepreneur like Ali Nishimwe. She's young, but she has a vision, including job creation. Scovia, you've also explained how journalists should be responsible, and they are doing that already. Bruce explained that music contributes to tourism. So I thank all of you, the panelists. Now, Doris, now back to local government. We've been talking about capacity building, or continuous education and training. So what is the situation today? Thank you. Now, local government. This training is there, focusing on reforms. We're doing a lot to review how people set goals, this Imihigo process, focusing on issues in districts, also taking into account the environment issues. So I want to tell you that the citizens should really understand that Imihigo is not a contract between the government and the local leader, but it's also between them and the citizen. So there's that dynamic. Thank you. Now, Minister of Education. People have been talking about the reforms that resulted into bringing in new leaders. So let me correct you. What happened is this. It's not about English. What I said earlier, like the President of the Republic told us yesterday, we need to take ownership of what we're doing and take responsibility in our positions. So we're trying to make sure that school leaders meet their responsibilities. Those who were not performing, they were just appointed as teachers. Others were let go. And like I said, the respecting and fulfilling our responsibilities is crucial, and everyone needs to do that at every level, in every sector, as we serve Rwandans. Thank you, Minister. Now, Aline, now let's talk about capital. But that's no longer a problem for you. You won't create jobs. So what signal does it send to your peers? Thank you. What it means is this. We should have a good vision. It's not that the country has to have goals, just the country. No, it's all of us. So we need to be serious about the job we do and do a good job. Now, Scovia, these views issues. Any YouTuber wants to have views. And that could lead them to publishing something that is really not up to standards. So what should people do? So how do you know to do something, not focusing on views, but real content? Well, views are important. I want your views too. All of you here and others following, we need those views, because if you don't have an audience, well, that's a tragedy. We need those views, please. Now, I'll give you one example. We were lucky to have YouTube and internet as journalists, even though it's expensive. But people tell me this. If I was creating content on radio and television, And they were saying, if you stay on the radio, nobody will listen. People want news, and they talk about sensationalism, fights, uh, uh, those who slept with who. So that gives views. So, but I said no. Well, I will do my thing on YouTube, but just as a journalist, a normal journalist, talking about production, low production, issues in governance, just real news, not nonsense, not trivia. I ended up getting a lot of views. I swear to God, most people here follow me. I get those views, but I didn't sell my soul. So we should clarify this. Selling nonsense is not what brings you views. Well, we have two things. You have followers, and you have other people who are just there to see the kind of crap you're spreading, and they're looking at you, criticizing you. They are watching you too. You get those views too. So I really need your views in Rwanda and abroad. I need your views, but come and listen to me, not to see how a bad job, how a bad a job I'm doing. So now back to you, Bruce Melody. Now there are young people who feel they have talent. So how do they, where do they start? Thank you. I'll give you a few examples. You know, I show speed, that gentleman. So what does he do? Well, he tours places and takes pictures of himself and selfies. So if you want to use the internet, you have a smartphone, you can take selfies. Yes, you look good, but if you're not doing anything, even though you have those assets, well, it doesn't help. People are scrolling mindlessly, but you should be different. We want the government to help us monetize those social media platforms. It means to make money using those social media. I mean, for those who are using those professionally, because if you abuse them, then you will have to answer for that. You see all those videos people produce. You know, content can generate money. TikTok, for instance. People make a lot of money in other countries. But for Rwandans, you know, it's a very long process. So we even borrow citizenship to make money on those social media platforms. And that's a problem. So I think this is an avenue to make money for the youth. And I will ask you one last question as we conclude. Now, Pika, what kind of Rwandan do we want? That's the same for all of you, the same question for all of you. We need a hardworking citizen, an ambitious citizen, and who demands standards. Well, let me interrupt you a little bit. What Bruce just said here, what does it take really, you know, concretely? What is it? Monetizing social media? Right. So what's the problem in Rwanda for Rwandans in that regard? Why do you need to borrow citizenship to make money on those platforms? What's the issue? So what is it? So we deal with that right now. So why don't we have social media platforms that make money in Rwanda? Thank you, Mr. President. You see, to make money on social media platforms, there are commercials that are embedded in that content. That's how we make money. So I produce a song. So if you're in another country, then there's a video that you need to watch. So those people have paid money. So that's the money that we benefit from. So for Rwandans, it seems like we're all premium, so we never watch those advertisements. That's how we don't make the money we ought to be making. So how does that get solved? Maybe Scovia has an idea. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm one of the people who wants that monetization as well. These are ICT technicalities. So we once discussed with the Minister of Youth and the official in the Ministry of Technology. So they explained those technicalities. Maybe the minister can help. But to have those ads on our content, we were told that Google don't let us benefit from that because we don't have enough people who want to consume that. But if the government of Rwanda intervened with Google, since we use Google Maps here in Rwanda to direct somebody to my address, not saying, well, go to a mango tree, we should also see those ads published on our content. All right, the IT people, would you please explain? Thank you, Your Excellency. Companies like Meta, YouTube, TikTok, they have eligibility requirements so countries can monetize their platforms. So the content creators can benefit from those based on three things: regulatory compliance, and we meet those so with data protection, intellectual property, and taxation. Second, like Bruce said, it's the volume of advertisements. So do we have enough people who can advertise on those platforms, which would help us, as we elevate the volume of advertisement, content creators get a percentage out of that. And that's where we're still lagging behind. I'll give you an example. So it takes about $500,000 and $1 million a month in terms of volume of ads for a country to be eligible. 3 is payment infrastructure, allowing the money they get thanks to those platforms to reach their accounts. We have that too. So all those companies we've been in contact with, and they tell us we're working on it, and they keep allowing more countries to be eligible. But it takes our part so the volume of ads coming from those companies to be elevated so we're eligible. Thank you. So what would we do as a country specifically? There are what those companies can do, and Google and others. So what should we do as a country? And since we started discussing with them, we complied with the regulations and with the data protection law and the IP law. Payment infrastructure is there. So what we need to do now to monetize those platforms is to elevate the advertisement base. So how do we elevate that? How do we elevate that base? Do we increase that base? Your Excellency, that's our homework. All companies should know that social media is a place where you can advertise, and it has a network effect that helps local content creators. So it's a question of ignorance, right? So content creators know this. What about the companies? The companies need to, so how will they know? We need to mobilize them. So we should do that. So we should start mobilizing them. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. We're coming almost to a close of the panel, but Minister of Education, what kind of Rwandan citizens do we need? We need a self-reliant company, Rwandan citizen, a dignified citizen. It's a hard-working Rwandan. Now, Scovia, over to you. We want a Rwandan citizen who's able to discern, so they know trivia, nonsense from good content, and who follows a good journalist, a professional one, Now, Bruce. We need a Rwandan who's like Munyakazi. Thank you, Munyakazi, meaning hard-working person. Thank you very much. Now we've come to the close of our panel. Back to you, Isheja. Thank you very much, Maurice, Deputy Spokesperson of the government. Mr. President, now it's time for Q&A. We're going to take 3 questions in the room. They will be answered. Then we go to a site, take more questions. Let's begin. I see the people standing already. The floor is yours. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mudenyi Boniface. I'm the Umurinzi w'Igihango, which means the pact keeper. We've been talking about the development of a country. I heard journalists saying that Umushyikirano Council is only for a few days, but given how many people attend, including me, we represent thousands of people, and we're participating here. Now, there's a problem with agriculture and shelter. Recently, the members of parliament toured the country, but we still have problems in those fields. How do we improve the shelter, and how do we improve our agriculture sector? And if local government don't pay attention, then the problem will be worse, especially with construction. So, Your Excellency, the relevant institutions should do something about that, because this is a serious issue. Second, now the Minister of Foreign Affairs was talking about international cooperation. But what about somebody like me in that area? We play a role in international affairs. I come from Obugeshi. It's close to the border with the Congo. Recently, with the problems in the Congo, it affects us as people who live close to the border. So I've created an organization for young people, and they play sports, and sometimes they play with young people from the Congo. But we kept organizing those games because this is about brotherhood. We want to safeguard that. So I recently asked a parent, so what happened really? The children of our country left our country. They went to the Congo, but instead of purifying them, those who came to your country and then sent back to us, why didn't you do that? And he said us, what you told us before the football game, you said that only the government divides people, but people never want to be divided. So, my dear friends, we need to do better in international cooperation, starting from our region. And, Mr. President, that artists, we share the same strength. We went to Washington, and we transited in one country, but we went to a restaurant, and we were not well served. But on the plane, we were talking about what happened, and I had a translator, and we heard people saying that these people were not well treated. Once we arrived in Washington, D.C., that person who had witnessed that, he came to our hotel, and he came and clarified and apologized for that country. You know, the blame went to the restaurant owner, but not to the whole country. So what the gentleman said is this. We were in Belgium, and they were saying, so where you come from? Produce your passport. When they saw my passport, they gave us a visa immediately. They said, oh, he's from Kagame's country. But somebody from a neighboring country was on the same team. It took a long time when they were processing his visa. When I said, when my translator said, they don't trust that country where he comes from. And then we asked the individual, he said, well, they suspected me of different things. So I felt so proud, Mr. President, even though I didn't go through a lot of schooling, so I'm proud of my country. So what I'm saying is this. We should have good French relationship with our neighboring countries. I saw somebody in Washington, D.C., and I wanted to hug people that I saw that knew they were Rwandans, just because they were Rwandans, not because of their ethnic group. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Let's hear from other people as well, please. There are many people who want to express their feelings. We can't take too much time. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody in the same side of the room? Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Nkurunziza Joseph Ryarasa from civil society, but I want to thank you. Yesterday, you praised civil society's role in the development of the country. I also want to thank the panel that has been discussing the country's government, and I thank Doris for the good cooperation and partnership between RGB and civil society organizations. Since 12 years, Ryarasa, please go straight to the point. We want to have more time for more questions. Since 12 years, RGB has been conducting citizen satisfaction research with the service delivery pillar. It always comes last, gets the lowest score. Now, with those reports, do different institutions use the results, the findings of those reports, so that the institutions are summoned to explain what they do? We hear government officials resigning. Is that because of findings from those reports? Recently, with the Ministry of Health, recently people discussed the quality of services within the ministry. Now, to improve health services, are there any specialized services at health centers to test diabetes and other diseases and obstetrics, to reduce pressure on tertiary facilities and to speed up the services? Thank you. Now let's go on the upper floor. Please go straight to the point. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Ndaruhutse Merci. I'm an entrepreneur, a very serious one. I'm not in wholesale, but my job is comedy. I studied technology, but I live on comedy. We started the platform with comedians, those who love a good laugh and those who make a good laugh. So we do that and we pay our taxes. Mr. President, when I try to scout talents, I go to different schools and create comedy clubs. So when they graduate, they can join our Gen Comedy. So I want to suggest this to the Ministry of Education. So please support and nurture young Rwandans' talent from a young age. And that way, when they graduate, they'll be ready to make money out of the craft. I think the first lady for at Rwanda Ubuhanzi, that's the framework that allowed me to emerge. And Youth Connect as well. I was one of the first beneficiaries of Youth Connect with the arts section. It's not easy to strike a good joke and make money out of it. So we collaborate with City Hall. You know, the city is not about just sports and umuganda. It's also about comedy. So we do that twice a month. Mr. President, you've been attending that. I want to invite you to another edition of this Iseka Rusange, and it will really give you a good, get a good laughter out of you. Thank you very much. It has begun already. Now we're coming to this side of the room, and then the questions will be answered. The site that will go first is Gisagara. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Binama Jessica Nsisa, Social Justice Advocates.
For the European Business Chamber of Rwanda, which represents 200 companies, including 21 EU states, but also consulates here in Rwanda. And
here is my question. I'll also give a suggestion based on education. And so, but how do we make sure that youth learn the skills needed on the job market?
The strategies or what the government is implementing to make sure what is being put out on the market is what is actually needed.
Well, here is what I want to share with you. The private sector, the Ministry of Labor, the Ministry of Education should come together to work on a career development and orientation from a young age. And as we know, we start choosing our fields, our majors early, but if I don't know there's a career, such or such career exists, then I don't choose the right major. It will be difficult a few years later. At EBCR, we organize career fairs every year, bringing together about 100 young people. It's in Kigali only, together with the government and the private sector. We could expand this to other places in the country to benefit more young people. It's a good thing we have Bruce Melody here and Merci. You see, growing up, nobody told me I could be a comedian or an artist like Bruce. But as a country, if we had partnered with the private sector to invest more into these career fairs and career development, then those fairs would be attended by Bruce Melody. And the likes to share their experience, and people answer the questions. About shelter now. Thank you, Mr. President. These, what they said about people building on arable land, we actually have a master plan that shows arable land and land where you can build houses. So 47.2 is arable. So those who don't use the land for the purpose that we see on the master plan, that's wrong, and we want them to stop it, and we have a plan to keep explaining the master plan with regards to land use, and we partner with local government agencies to solve those problems. Thank you. Thank you very much. Now, about health, the Minister of State, Yvonne, please. Thank you, Mr. President. What Joseph said about health services closer to the citizens, the major problem over the recent years is the low number of health workers. You see, before 2024, those who joined the health sector were 1,600. And last year, we reached 6,400. And so, which is, they grew fourfold. So that was as per the program we had. So, but there are areas where the numbers are very low. With nurses, we used to train about 200 a year, and now we're training more than 2,000 a year. Now, with obstetricians or midwives, we used to train 72. Now we train more than 1,000 a year. So very soon, the services will be much closer to the population. We will also improve the health centers and hospitals with surgery, with especially focusing on children. We used to have 5 hospitals, university teaching hospitals. Now we're going to add 10, so we have 15 hospitals like that. And that will reduce crowding. That will improve the services. We've also been talking about the fact that there are Rwandans who go to seek health care abroad, especially for kidney transplant. But only last year we've done 82 kidney transplants here in Rwanda. So it's a good thing. So we've been able to save $800,000 because of that. And second reason people went abroad was the heart diseases and treatment for that. And we've operated about 500 Rwandans here. The third is cancer. You see, as life expectancy increases, we also see cancer illnesses increasing. So we're increasing our capacity to treat cancer. We have more equipment here in Rwanda. So we have a factory that produces the products required by those machines. So starting from local hospitals all the way up, we're improving the services so they are closer to the citizens and at a more affordable price. Thank you. Now about education, nurturing talent in schools, matching skills with job market requirements. Over to you, Minister. Thank you, Mr. President. I'll start with what Merci said. He also told us that he's introduced comedy club in schools, and we thank him for that. So it's a good thing to have happy students. So whatever assistance you need to expand your initiative, just let us know. Now, the question asked by Jessica about how the government aligns the education provided in schools with the job market requirements. We do this in different ways. including approaching the private sector so they play a role in preparing school curricula. And starting with this year, we want all universities in Rwanda to tell us the number of graduates who've been able to get a job. That way, those universities will focus on the needs on the job market. And that's what they will be training the students in. So Rwandans will know that when they graduate, they will get a job or whether they will be unemployed. That's one of the ways we, we, we collaborate with the private sector. Second, there are big government projects that identify the needed skills, and then we adopt strategies for those skills to be available to the students. I'll give you an example. The airport project, that airport under construction, and how TVET professional schools can pitch in and give the skills required for projects like that. And the third way is career guidance. We have adopted strategies. Now every school is going to have a career guidance professional, at least one per school. And of course, it all depends on the resources we have, and that counselor will help the students in guiding their career. So what you're doing here in Kigali, that fair that is attended by 400 people, we're going to partner to expand this beyond Kigali. So that career guidance is really needed for the students to choose what they can, where they have talent and where they can, and that will be beneficial in their career. Now we're going to go to Gisagara side. Can you hear us in Gisagara?
Murakoze.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Elise Bakundikize, and I am the director of the youth school. And in Gisagara, we love you. And we were actually the first in the last elections. Mr. President, in Gisagara, we live well, thanks to you. And we've actually gotten a new tarmac road. And we thank you for establishing youth centers in Gisagara to help the youth get employment and make use of their talents. On the other hand, we have a training service for professionals. We have a football academy as well. Yes, thank you very much, Gisagara, but would you kindly go straight to the point if you have a question? Because there's somebody behind you that also needs to ask a question. Yes, here's my question. RDB should provide certifications to the youth that we train. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Alexandre Nshimirimana. And there's a lot to talk about, but I'd like to focus on farming. You've actually allowed us to grow crops in the marshlands, and we did that, notably in Gikongo, where we have set up factories, you know, We have maize in the Kanyaru Valley, we have rice that is grown, and all that is well, but there's an issue, and that is access to markets. When I was younger, when someone was giving you something, you would actually get support a second time. So yes, you've given us a road in Gisagara, but we'd like you to extend it to Rwagisoro so that we can easily accede to markets and avoid spoilage of our harvest. And this will help us a great deal. Thank you very much. Yes, the road. Could we get a response about that? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. And Alexander is actually right. This road is very urgent, the road between Rwagisoro and Gisagara.